A day in the life of Neanderthals. Ever wondered what a typical day looked like 60,000 years ago? No phones, no traffic, no cities, just firelight, stone tools, and the raw beauty of survival. In this video, we're stepping into the frozen heart of the Ice Age to explore how Neanderthals, our ancient cousins, lived, worked, and thrived in a world shaped by cold, danger, and community. From the moment they wake in a cave carved into a cliffside to the quiet rituals around the evening fire, we'll follow their footsteps through a single day. But this isn't just a history lesson. It's a chance to challenge old myths, to see Neanderthals not as primitive brutes, but as skilled hunters, clever toolmakers, and deeply social beings. You'll discover how they crafted weapons with precision, cared for their young, and navigated the icy terrain with strategy and resilience. And as we walk beside them, through snow-covered valleys and firelit shelters, you might just find something familiar, a rhythm, a connection, a glimpse of what it truly means to be human. So, grab a warm drink, settle in, and let's journey together into the Ice Age. Because the past isn't just behind us, it's part of who we are.
The year is roughly 60,000 years before the Common Era, a time when Europe was locked in the grip of the Ice Age. Picture it. Snow blankets the valleys, the air is sharp and biting, and the land is ruled not by cities or machines, but by nature itself. And nestled within a rocky shelter carved into a cliffside, a small band of Neanderthals begins to stir. The first light of dawn creeps across the horizon, casting a soft pink glow over the frozen landscape. Inside the cave, the fire still smolders, its embers glowing orange against the cold stone. The warmth it provides is more than comfort, it's survival. A man squats beside the fire, adding a log, coaxing the flames back to life. Sparks leap upward, illuminating the cave walls and the faces of his kin. Children, nestled in thick hides, blink sleepily. Their mothers check them for warmth, while elders sit quietly, watching the firelight dance. Outside, the world is silent, save for the distant call of a raven and the crunch of snow underfoot. But inside, there is movement, purpose, and connection. This is not a primitive scene. It's a deeply human one. These Neanderthals are preparing for the day ahead. The hunters will sharpen their spears. The gatherers will scan the terrain for roots and berries. And the entire group will rely on each other to survive. Their lives were shaped by hardship, yes, but also by ingenuity, empathy, and resilience. As the sun rises and the cave fills with light, the Neanderthals step out into the cold. And with that, the ancient rhythm of survival begins once more. If you are enjoying this, be sure to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and let us know what topics you'd love to hear more about. We'd love to hear from you.
Let's take a moment to examine something that often goes unnoticed, the making of a tool. It's early morning in the cave. The fire crackles softly, casting flickering light on stone walls and fur-covered shoulders. Around it, the Neanderthals begin their work, not with chaos, but with quiet focus. A man squats near the fire, his thick, calloused hands cradling a flint core. In his other hand, an antler billet. He strikes with precision, not randomly, not forcefully, but deliberately, each blow calculated to shape the stone. Tiny flakes scatter across the cave floor. The rhythm is meditative, almost ritualistic. This isn't guesswork, it's the levoloi technique,
a method that requires preparing the stone in advance so that a single strike releases a flake of the exact size and shape needed. That kind of foresight is extraordinary. It shows planning, spatial reasoning, and a deep understanding of material properties. Nearby, another adult binds a freshly knapped flint point to a wooden shaft. She uses sinew, fibrous tendon or stripped from a previous hunt, and tree resin to secure the blade. The wrapping is tight, layered, and purposeful. This is a weapon, yes, but also a product of engineering. Shorter tools lie scattered nearby: scrapers for cleaning hides, blades for cutting meat, awls for piercing leather. Each one is shaped with intention. These tools weren't disposable. They were carried, reused, and sometimes even repaired. Some were so finely crafted that early archaeologists mistook them for Homo sapiens artifacts. And here's the remarkable part. This knowledge wasn't written down. It was passed from hand to hand, generation to generation, through demonstration, repetition, and memory. So when we speak of Neanderthals, we must speak of minds that could plan, hands that could shape, and communities that could teach. This was not brute survival. This was craftsmanship. This was culture.
Now that the tools are ready and the morning fire has done its work, the Neanderthals begin to plan the day's most critical task, the hunt. This isn't a spontaneous dash into the wilderness. It's a coordinated effort, shaped by experience, memory, and environmental awareness. Around the fire, the group gathers. Adults exchange glances, gestures, and vocalizations. There's no written language, of course, but communication is happening, and it's sophisticated. Recent research suggests Neanderthals had the anatomical capacity for speech. Their hyoid bone, vocal tract, and brain structure support the possibility of spoken language. But even if their speech was limited, their gestures, facial expressions, and body language filled in the gaps. Think of it as a rich, multimodal system, part verbal, part visual, entirely effective. A few members of the group, likely the most experienced hunters, take the lead. They recall the tracks spotted yesterday, the wind direction, the migration patterns of reindeer or bison. They know which valleys funnel game, which ridges offer cover, and which routes are too dangerous to risk. The younger hunters listen closely. This is how knowledge is passed, not through lectures, but through lived experience. The planning session is brief but purposeful. Spears are checked, stone blades are secured, furs are tightened, and then, with quiet determination, the hunting party sets out. Meanwhile, others remain behind. Foraging is equally vital. Women and children scan the landscape for edible roots, nuts, berries, and perhaps shellfish if near water. Their knowledge of seasonal cycles and plant life is extensive. They know which tubers require roasting to neutralize toxins, which berries are safe, and which leaves can be used for medicine. This division of labor isn't rigid, it's adaptive. Neanderthal groups were small, flexible, and deeply cooperative. Everyone had a role, everyone mattered. And here's the key insight. This planning process reveals a mind capable of abstraction, of weighing options, anticipating outcomes, and working together toward a shared goal. It's not just survival, it's strategy, it's intelligence, it's culture.
With plans made and tools in hand, the Neanderthal hunting party begins its journey. The cave, once filled with warmth and quiet conversation, now echoes with the sounds of movement. Footsteps crunching over snow, the rustle of fur garments, the clink of stone tools against wooden shafts. They step into a world that is both breathtaking and brutal. The Ice Age landscape stretches before them, vast plains of frost-hardened earth, forests of skeletal trees, and distant ridgelines veiled in mist. The cold is constant, but they are prepared. Their layered hides, crafted from reindeer and bison, insulate them against the chill. Their spears are sharp, their minds focused. This is not a solitary endeavor. Neanderthals hunted in groups, relying on coordination and cooperation. Earlier ideas that they used terrain at La Côte de Saint-Villard to drive prey over cliffs are now questioned, with new evidence suggesting the bone piles were natural rather than the result of mass hunts. What remains certain is that their success depended on planning, timing, and trust. The hunters moved silently, communicating through gestures and glances. Every sound matters. A snapped twig, a distant grunt, the flutter of birds, each could signal prey or danger. Their senses are honed, their awareness acute. Meanwhile, back at the cave, others begin their own tasks. Foragers fan out across the landscape, scanning for edible roots, nuts, and berries. Children accompany them, learning by doing. It's a quieter rhythm, but no less vital. The success of the day depends on both meat and plant matter, on both risk and resilience. And here's something remarkable. Neanderthals didn't just react to their environment, they anticipated it. They understood seasonal patterns, animal behavior, and the geography of their homeland. They weren't wandering aimlessly, they were navigating with purpose. So as the hunting party disappears into the snowy horizon, we're left with a powerful image, a species that knew how to move through its world with skill, strategy, and solidarity.
By midday, the rhythm of Neanderthal life shifts from pursuit to processing. If the hunt has been successful, the work begins immediately. There's no time to waste. Meat spoils quickly, and predators are never far away. The hunting party gathers around the fallen animal, its thick hide and dense muscle promising days of nourishment. With practiced efficiency, they begin to butcher. Flint blades slice through sinew and flesh. Bones are cracked open to extract marrow, a rich source of fat and nutrients. The hide is peeled back, not discarded, but saved for clothing, bedding, and shelter. This is a communal effort. Each person has a role. Some cut, others sort, and still others watch the surroundings for danger. The scene is not chaotic, it's coordinated. Evidence from archaeological sites shows clear patterns in how Neanderthals processed carcasses, suggesting a shared understanding of anatomy and resource use. Back at the cave, the foragers return with their own harvest, a bundle of roots, a handful of berries, perhaps even mushrooms or nuts. These may seem modest, but they're vital. Plant foods provided fiber, vitamins, and variety, and the knowledge required to find them was immense. Shorter tasks unfold around the hearth. A woman scrapes a hide clean with a flint scraper. A child mimics her movements with a dull stone. Another adult checks the sinew drying near the fire, preparing it for tool binding. The cave is alive with activity, each motion purposeful. And here's something worth noting. Neanderthals didn't just consume, they curated. They selected the best parts, stored what they could, and likely returned to productive sites seasonally. This suggests not just survival, but planning, memory, even tradition. They may have used natural refrigeration, burying meat in snow or cold earth to preserve it. They may have smoked it over low fires. These techniques, though speculative, are supported by indirect evidence and show a capacity for innovation. So, as the sun reaches its peak and the cave fills with the scent of roasting meat and damp earth, we see a society in motion, not primitive, not chaotic, but deeply human, resilient, resourceful, and rooted in the land.
As the sun dips below the horizon and the Ice Age landscape fades into shadow, the Neanderthals gather within their shelter. The cave, once quiet and still, now hums with life. The fire is rekindled, its flames dancing against the stone walls, casting long shadows and bathing the space in a warm, flickering glow. This is the heart of Neanderthal life. Not the hunt, not the tools, but the hearth. Around it, the group gathers. There's a sense of relief, of accomplishment. The day's work is done. Meat roasts over the fire, its scent mingling with the earthy aroma of damp hides and crushed roots. Children sit close to their mothers, chewing on scraps or playing with bones and dull stones. Their laughter is soft, but unmistakable. A man tends to a wound, perhaps a gash from the hunt. Another adult checks the bindings on a spear, reinforcing it for tomorrow. These are not idle hands. Even in rest, there is purpose. The elders, wrapped in thick furs, sit slightly apart. Their eyes reflect the firelight, and their presence carries weight. They are the keepers of memory. Though we cannot know exactly how Neanderthals shared knowledge, we can imagine the possibilities. Gestures, mimicry, perhaps even rudimentary storytelling. A hand tracing patterns in the ash, a voice rising and falling in rhythm. A demonstration of how to strike flint or track prey. This is where culture lives, not in artifacts, but in moments. In the passing of knowledge from one generation to the next, in the shared silence, in the gaze between parent and child. The cave itself becomes a canvas. Some Neanderthal sites show traces of pigment, red ochre, black charcoal, suggesting symbolic behavior. Did they decorate their bodies, mark their tools, leave messages on the walls? We don't know for certain, but the evidence hints at something more than utility, something expressive. Even the layout of the cave reflects social structure. Sleeping areas are arranged near the fire. Tool-making zones are set slightly apart. Refuse is discarded in specific corners. This isn't random, it's organized. It speaks to a sense of space, of roles, of routine. Outside, the cold deepens. The stars emerge, brilliant and sharp in the clear Ice Age sky. But inside, the cave is warm, secure, alive. And here's the most profound insight. This scene, unfolding 60,000 years ago, is familiar. It mirrors our own evenings, the gathering of family, the sharing of food, the telling of stories, the tending of wounds, the planning for tomorrow. Neanderthals were not a failed experiment. They were a successful adaptation. For hundreds of thousands of years, they thrived in some of the harshest environments on Earth. They buried their dead. They cared for the injured. They formed bonds that lasted beyond survival. So, as the fire burns low and the group settles into sleep, we are left with a powerful truth. The Neanderthal day ends not in isolation, but in connection, in warmth, in humanity. As the fire dims and the cave falls into silence, the Neanderthals sleep. Their bodies rest, curled beneath thick hides, while the world outside continues its icy vigil. Winds sweep across the frozen plains. Stars shimmer overhead, sharp and cold. Somewhere in the distance, a predator prowls. But inside that shelter, there is peace. There is warmth. There is humanity. We've walked through a single day in their lives, from the first light of dawn to the quiet of night, and what we've seen is not a species on the brink of extinction, but one that thrived. For over 300,000 years, Neanderthals endured. They adapted to glacial climates, hunted massive game, crafted tools with precision, and cared for one another with tenderness and skill. They were not our ancestors, but our cousins, and their story is not one of failure. It's one of resilience. In recent decades, the image of Neanderthals has undergone a dramatic transformation. No longer seen as brutish or dim-witted, they are now recognized as intelligent, empathetic, and creative. DNA evidence shows that many of us carry traces of Neanderthal ancestry. Their legacy lives on, not just in our genes, but in our understanding of what it means to be human. They buried their dead. They may have used symbolism. They lived in social groups, taught their young, and survived in some of the harshest environments Earth has ever known. That's not primitive. That's remarkable. So when we speak of Neanderthals, let us speak with respect, with curiosity, with wonder.
Because in the flicker of their firelight, in the rhythm of their footsteps across frozen ground, and in the quiet moments of connection around the hearth, we see ourselves. Not as modern humans looking back, but as fellow members of a long, shared story. Their tools were not just functional, they were refined. Their shelters were not just protective, they were organized. Their relationships were not just instinctual, they were emotional. We see evidence of care for the injured, of food sharing, of social bonds that extended beyond the nuclear family. These are not the behaviors of beasts, they are the hallmarks of culture. And yet, they vanished. Around 40,000 years ago, Neanderthals disappeared from the archaeological record. The reasons are still debated: climate change, competition with Homo sapiens, disease, or a combination of factors. But their disappearance does not erase their achievements. It does not diminish their humanity. In fact, it deepens the mystery. It invites us to ask not just how they lived, but how they loved, how they learned, how they dreamed. In this video, we've explored a day in their lives, but the truth is, their story spans millennia. It's written in bones, in tools, in cave sediments and DNA strands, and it's still unfolding. Every excavation, every analysis, every new discovery adds another brushstroke to the portrait of a people who were far more than shadows in a cave. So let us continue to look, to listen, to learn. Because in doing so, we don't just uncover the past, we illuminate the present. We understand ourselves more deeply. We see that humanity is not a straight line, but a braided river. And Neanderthals are one of its strongest currents. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the Ice Age and a day in the life of Neanderthals, please consider subscribing to the channel, giving this video a thumbs up, and sharing it with fellow history lovers. Your support helps us continue exploring the ancient world, one story, one discovery, one firelit moment at a time. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep digging deeper into the past.